Well, it was the 18-year anniversary of the greatest single-game offensive performance in organized basketball history when Kobe Bryant poured in 81 points against the Raptors on January 22nd of 2005. And Joel Embiid just dropped a 70-piece to commemorate it. While Embiid did grow up a big Kobe fan,
Kobe was my guy. He's the reason why I started playing. That was my favorite player, so.
The performance did absolutely nothing to honor Kobe, but more so displayed in stunning detail what a festering turd today's NBA really is.
It's a complete crap.
As the pace of play and lack of defense has swelled to outrageous heights, all of you out there comparing this performance or any of today's players to the great Kobe Bryant need to take his name out your mouth.
Out your mouth!
Basketball has fundamentally changed a lot in just 18 short years. But don't just take my word for it. Let Minnesota Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch tell you all about it. See, last night, while Embiid scored 70, Timberwolves center Karl Towns also had himself a historic night. He scored 62 points on 10 of 15 from 3. His head coach, though, was less than impressed.
It was an absolute disgusting performance of defense and immature basketball. This is what happens when you have this type of approach.
And that pretty much sums up this entire era. See, way back in the 2005-2006 season, when Kobe Bryant put forth the greatest offensive season ever, they actually played defense. That year was smack dab in the slowest paced, lowest scoring time in NBA history, the legitimate dead ball era of professional basketball. Nightly scoring league-wide sat at just 97 points per game, which is the 9th lowest in the modern era since the 1976 NBA-ABA merger, spanning now nearly 50 years. Today's league-wide scoring nightly average is 115.5 points per game, which is the highest since the merger. The most in nearly 50 years now, as you would have to go all the way back to 1967, 10 years pre-merger and 57 total years ago to find a higher scoring season. You know, the 60s, with all of those offensively inflated stats that everyone just disregards and puts an asterisk on today. Yeah, that's where we are today. To put this in further context, the year Kobe scored his 81 points while averaging 35.4 points per game, the highest scoring team in the NBA was the Phoenix Suns. You remember that 8-second or less offense led by two-time league MVP Steve Nash? Yeah, that team averaged 108 points per game that year, easily tops in the league for the 2005-2006 season. They were one of only 5 teams to average over 100 points per game. While the lowest scoring team that season, the Portland Trail Blazers, averaged just 88. Today, there are 6 teams scoring over 120 points per game, with Indiana leading the league at 125 points a night. The lowest scoring team this season, the Portland Trail Blazers, ironically enough, score 107.5 points per game currently. Thus, the highest scoring team, by over 6 points per game, mind you, back in 2005-2006, is nearly being outscored by the lowest scoring team in today's NBA.
Absolute disgusting performance of defense.
And people are really trying to compare these players in this garbage can of an era to Kobe Bryant.
It's a complete crap.
Speaking of Kobe, in that aforementioned 2005-2006 season, there were only 12 games all year where a single player scored at least 50 points. Paul Pierce had 1, Dirk Nowitzki had 1, Vince Carter had 1, Allen Iverson had 1, LeBron James had 2, and Kobe Bryant had 6. half of all of the 50-point performances for the entire year. Meanwhile, there were only 2 60-plus point games that entire season, both by Kobe Bryant. His 62-pointer against the Mavericks in only 3 quarters, mind you, and the 81 spot against Toronto. So 2 all season long. We just had 2 yesterday. Joel Embiid's teammate, Tyrese Maxey, has already also scored 50 this season. Finally, the year Kobe averaged 35 per game in 2005-2006. He also led the league in total points scored with 2,832. It wasn't just the most that season. It is the 3rd most in the 48-year post-merger modern NBA history, behind only Michael Jordan's 1986-87 season and Michael Jordan's 1987-88 season. And league-wide scoring those 2 years weren't quite as inflated as they are today, but still much higher than the year Kobe did it in 2005-2006. While Embiid is leading the league currently in per-game scoring by 2.5 points, he is actually only 4th in total points scored, behind Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Luka Doncic. In fact, Embiid is only 49 total points currently away from dropping out of the top 5 for the season. This is, of course, because he has already sat out 10 of his team's 42 games, nearly a quarter of the season so far. Which, yeah, makes a difference in scoring when you're well rested and potentially dodging certain teams. Here's your reminder, Kobe played 80 of 82 games in his season. Oh, and was also first-team All-NBA defense. Keep that in mind as Joel Embiid has now opened up a cavernous void in his overwhelming lead for what will be his 2nd consecutive league MVP award. As despite Nikola Jokic averaging a damn near 26-point triple-double on almost 60% shooting from the field, all the writers care about today is scoring in an era where scoring is as easy as it has ever been. In 2005-2006, Kobe Bryant finished a distant 4th in MVP voting, barely ahead of Chauncey Billups. Nah, this is exactly why league MVPs don't count for shit in GOAT conversations. And also exactly why the late, great Kobe Bryant would have absolutely feasted in today's era. It is not hyperbolic to suggest he could have easily averaged 40 plus for an entire season, or scored 100 points today in a single game if he really wanted to. Because that is just how damn easy this era is, and that is just how damn great Kobe Bryant was.